Peace and love.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up.
Peace and love. Peace and love podcast. Peace and love podcast. Peace and love podcast. Peace and love. Yo, Peace and Love Podcast. This is your man, E.McGee. Back in the building. It's a beautiful Monday. It feels good outside, man. It's springtime officially here in Los Angeles, California. This is my sister-in-law on the keys right here. It just feels good. For all the babies, they singing the ABC song, you know. So it's been a great day, man. It's been a really good weekend. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is the Peace and Love Podcast. Again, I am your host. I'm going with E.McGee now. I was speaking with my mentor, and she said, "You know what, Emmitt is great, but you got to stick to what's been working, man. You got to go with E.McGee." So I'm back to E.McGee, man. So again, this is a Peace and Love Podcast. Been a really good weekend. Again, the weather is broken. It's everything is good, man. It's about 85 degrees outside. It's getting back to regular. It's feeling like sunny California again, and that's good. The only thing that's the problem is not sure if you guys were watching, but the Lakers lost to the Knicks last night, and
congratulations, you played yourself.
The day when the Lakers start losing to the Knicks, that's a problem. That's a problem.
Hate it.
But like we said, this season is over with. It's a wrap for the season. We're not going to the playoffs. We're not doing anything. So it's a wrap for the Lakers this season. We lost to the Knicks last night, you guys. That's probably the worst team in the league, according to me. We lost to the Knicks. It's a wrap for the Lakers for this season. Again, on the keys playing, that was my sister-in-law, Miss Maya Johnson. Virtuoso at Radford University, man. She was practicing with some of her classmates and sent the video to Nisha, and I thought it was so dope, man. Kind of a pick-me-up, you know? So I decided, hey, let's start the show with that. It sounded good, and all the babies that don't know their ABCs, man, it's a little something educational, you know? Let's see here. What's going on? LeBron had his shot blocked in the final seconds of the game. Now, that might not seem like much to anybody else, but King James, I don't know if that's ever happened. And for him to get blocked in the fashion in which he did get blocked, it kind of was just like, it's over for the Lakers.
Hate it.
Definitely didn't look too good, man. So I send my heart and my love out to my beloved Lakers. LeBron hit me the other day. I think he's trying to come on the show. We'll see what we can do. But what we do have worked out, man, the very first guest on the Peace and Love Podcast tomorrow. So make sure you guys tune in tomorrow. We're going to have comedian Miss D-Lo Brown coming in, talking about all the things she's working on, and also being a comedian in this PC era. Everything is so politically correct. And how does that affect the careers of comedians, especially female comedians, with the rise of the Me Too movement? Women are really doing their thing right now. Things are looking good for women right now. A lot of female comedians on the come up. How does that affect your stage? How does that affect how you do your thing? So she's coming in tomorrow. It's going to be a really, really good show, man. Make sure you guys tune in. Again, comedian D-Lo Brown will be in the building, and we have comedians coming through all week. So yeah, just stay tuned. Again, if you want to come on, you got somebody that want to come on, you got any questions, comments, concerns, let me know at EMCGEE. That's on Instagram, everything. And just to get it going, you know, yesterday was Sunday. On Sunday, you know, we shouldn't just limit fellowship and talking to God and things like that on Sundays. That should happen all day, every day. And again, We're not going to get preachy here on the Peace and Love podcast. That's not what we're here to do. Peace and love. Just kind of offer you guys some light. So at the end of the shows, I was just closing with like Bible verses, which and I close with things that speak to me. You know what I'm saying? Things that resonate in my heart. So I want to broaden that spectrum a little bit. And instead of just closing with Bible verses, we're going to be closing with a bunch of different quotes from, historians and philosophers, and also coming out of the Bible also. I just want to give you guys words to live by, things that affect me on a day-to-day, whether it could be a snippet of a song, whatever it is. I'll pull it out, I'll present it, I'll break it down, and I'll give you guys my interpretation of it. So being that we're on the heels, it's Monday. Yesterday was really good. Sometimes when I get on my, I guess it can get a little preachy to some people. I'll get correspondence in my DM, and people will say, well, you know what, man, we really like the show. We like what you're talking about. But at the end, man, it get a little too preachy, bro. We're not really looking for all that. Honestly, and I've had atheists, what is God? How can you even explain that? It doesn't make sense to me. X, Y, and Z. They come with the Big Bang Theory. They come with the evolution thing, which none of that makes sense at all. Because if we evolved from apes, if humans evolved from apes, there wouldn't be any more apes because they all would be humans, right? So that theory is debunked. And then the Big Bang Theory that all of this, your body with all of its complexities, the world and all of its complexities, that started from a Big Bang, outer space, and that just happened to make all of this stuff. That doesn't make sense to me either. So I tell people, I try to give them my understanding of how I can prove that there's a God, right? And it's hard to get into those conversations with people. I have found a clip. Two white men, collegiate, very educated, were having a debate, and most people that like scientists, they don't really believe in God. So this guy posed a question. He said, man, he gave him a bunch of facts. Said, well, how can you prove what God is? How can you do that? It doesn't make sense. The guy's answer to this was incredible. Blew my mind. And that's all I wanted to share with you guys. Here we go. First clip of the show for the Peace and Love podcast, man. It's a guy debunking the theory that God isn't real. Let's check this out.
I am confused. Being philosophically consistent and being a very honest person, I'm sure you can tell me where God came from. And in addition, once you've told me where God comes from, please try to clarify how you can figure that a spiritual force can have an impact on a material universe to create it. I think that some years ago we already talked about that kind of thing in philosophical circles at any rate, by posing the question, if angels are made of spiritual matter and a pen is made of material matter and spiritual matter displaces no space, how many angels can dance on the tip of a pen? I have a sense of sort of reversal experience here, but please do, go ahead.
You got 5 minutes. Now, I just want to know which question.
That's all right. You may take the rest of the minute.
We're supposed to do one question at a time. Which one would you like? That was part of the format for the debate. So which question?
I want you to fill in the story of the rest of the beginning of the universe. God, spiritual matter, impact on material matter.
Okay. So 2 questions. All right.
Go ahead.
All right. Your question, where did God come from, assumes that you're thinking of the wrong, obviously it displays that you're thinking of the wrong God, because the God of the Bible is not affected by time, space, or matter. If he's affected by time, space, or matter, he's not God.
That's a fact.
Time, space, and matter is what we call a continuum. All of them have to come into existence at the same instant, because if there were matter but no space, where would you put it? If there were matter and space but no time, when would you put it? You cannot have time, space, or matter independently. They have to come into existence simultaneously. The Bible answers that in 10 words. In the beginning, there's time. God created the heaven There's space, and the earth. There's matter. So you have time, space, matter, created a trinity of trinities there. Just, time is past, present, future. Space has length, width, height. Matter has solid, liquid, gas. You have a trinity of trinities created instantaneously, and the God who created them has to be outside of them. If he's limited by time, he's not God. The guy who created this computer is not in the computer. He's not running around in there changing the numbers on the screen, okay? The God who created this universe is outside of the universe. He's above it, beyond it, in it, through it. He's unaffected by it. So the concept that a spiritual force cannot have any effect on a material body, well then I guess you'd have to explain to me things like emotions and love and hatred and envy and jealousy and rationality. I mean, if your brain is just a random collection of chemicals that formed by chance over billions of years, how on earth can you trust your own reasoning processes and the thoughts that you think? Okay, so
That's a fact.
Your question, where did God come from, is assuming a limited God. And that's your problem. The God that I worship is not limited by time, space, or matter. If I could fit the infinite God in my 3-pound brain, he would not be worth worshiping, that's for certain. So that's the God that I worship. Thank you.
Wow. He kind of just came with it. 3 minutes of just truth. That's it. I'm not gonna stay on that too long. But that was pretty good. That was very, very factual. Peace and love. Moving on. We're all familiar with T.I. Everybody knows who T.I. is, right? Grew up with T.I. I feel like his first album, Trap Music, was that his first album? I think that was his second joint. No, Trap Music was his first album. I think it was a really, really a good album. Really good album. I don't know if that was his first album though. And then we had the first one, we had to deal with L.A. Reid. It didn't go good. Then he came back. Anyway, T.I.'s been doing this thing for quite some time. When he came out, he had a lot of steam. I remember, every record, I was there for it. I feel like T.I. can really rap. And he's very diversified in his business. He's been relevant for over 10 years. And that's something to say in this industry. However, I feel like T.I. is the only person that calls himself the King of the South. I don't feel like anybody in the South calls T.I. the King of the South. And I don't really know if he has he has a body of work. He can rap. He's been very relevant for a long time, but I just don't think he's the King of the South. And I don't think anybody else in the South would consider him to be the King of the South, especially when Andre 3000 is still alive, when Scarface is still alive, when Lil Wayne is still alive. It's too many juggernauts in the South for me to take T.I. to say, okay, that's the king. But however, a couple days ago, T.I. just clarified again that he's the king, and he did so by saying, who since Tupac has maintained such a consistent diversity within music genres, business, and other opportunities? Now I had to think about that for a second. I wasn't sure of the business that Tupac had. I know at the time of his death, his money was a little funny. And I know a lot of people like to compare themselves to Tupac because Tupac is so beloved by the people. He's really a man of the people. And I can see how T.I. compares himself to Tupac because of the legal troubles he had, and honestly because of the type of effect T.I. can have on the people. It's definitely not on Tupac level, right? But T.I. is one of those guys. We would say he's one of the forefathers right now of hip hop. He's been in the game over 10 years, got over 4 albums, got some hit records, got some Grammys. He's solid, solidified. But I don't think he's the King of the South. I think T.I. is the only person that calls himself the King of the South. Maybe you think differently. If you got any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. Get in the comments. Do you think T.I. is the King of the South? I like his music. I don't have anything against T.I. I've met him a couple times. Very cool brother. Real down to earth cat, man. But I don't think he's the King of the South at all. So let me know what you think. Moving on. All right. I'm sure you guys have heard. There was an EMT in Virginia. Now, we always talk about Virginia, not sure what's going on down in Virginia. Obviously, race is an issue in Virginia. We know that there's plantations. There were plantations all through Virginia. I told you about my experiences with the police in Virginia. When my friend stayed out there, I would go out there for a week. I would say 3 times out of that week, I got pulled over by the same cop coming to Virginia. And I felt like he was trying to, let me know what was going on. Just give me a hint. Last week, information came out that there's an EMT in Virginia. Where exactly at? In Patrick County, Virginia. There's an EMT who also runs a Nazi podcast, if you will. So on the podcast, he's very, racist. They're making jokes about all kind of craziness. But this guy was an EMT. So he was responsible for caring for the people within a specific neighborhood. This EMT said that he would torture black kids if he ever had to deal with them. He said if he ever had to give kids shots, he would give them larger needles than they technically needed, so it would hurt them more. He just spoke of so much treachery that he would do to people under his care as an EMT. Now, this guy was also, he's a white supremacist. He ran a podcast, and the people that were listening to his show feeling uncomfortable about it, made some reports, and the guy was brought into court, and the judge himself has served in some capacity, say like an EMT. Really wasn't feeling it. The EMT was fired, which is a kudos, because I didn't expect anything to happen in Virginia. It's almost seemed like these type of things are okay. You kind of just sweep under the rug. But this EMT was recently fired. Let's listen to what the judge had to say. First, I'm gonna let you hear what the EMT was talking about. Him and the judge had an exchange. It was very heated, and the guy was just very cold. He said, hey, we have a freedom of speech. Although I'm an EMT and people rely on me for their life when something happens, they call 911, I'm supposed to come and do my job. Although that's what I'm paid to do, I can still make these jokes. I can still talk like this because it's freedom of speech. Let's check this out, man.
I'm a professional.
That's it.
This was how the chair responded after being told by accused white supremacist Alex McNabb to shut up. And it was the loudest outburst of what became a nearly 5-minute screaming match between the two.
Did you say that? Did you make that up? Do you think that's funny?
I think it's funny.
I don't.
My audience thinks it's
And
funny.
to even have a thought
They
like
don't think
that,
you're funny, though. They don't think you're funny at
to
all.
even have a thought like that is repugnant. You're talking about torturing children who are in your care.
McNabb spoke during public comment at the meeting saying the podcast and his character, Dr. Narcan, are satire, and he is the real victim of a smear campaign.
So what you're looking at right here is basically like a Marilyn Manson or somebody from the Jerky Boys, something like that, okay? And that's why I'm here tonight. This is about free speech, which is under assault in this country.
McNabb is a part-time paid EMT covering calls for the Jeb Stuart Volunteer Squad. He's now on unpaid leave, but many, including board chair Locke Boyce, want him fired. The squad's attorney says the squad condemns McNabb, but should let the state revoke his license, keeping the county and the squad out of a lawsuit. The attorney says if they fired McNabb now, the alt-right would sue the squad into bankruptcy.
Don't believe me? Read his Twitter feed.
So these people, they're afraid of the alt-right. Although he's breaking laws, it's ridiculous. They said we can't fire him because the alt-right they'll sue us until bankruptcy, right? This is how they were coming off. And what's crazy is when you start to speak truth to power, right? Not even power, because this guy don't have no power. When you just start to speak truth to stuff like this, they tuck their tails and then they call it reverse racism. This guy's made a living basically off being Nazi, just having Nazi ideals, being disrespectful, being racist. And it's very easy to talk about people negatively when you're in a studio behind a microphone. And I have to check myself about that also, because it's very easy for me, with how opinionated I am, to be disrespectful when I'm talking about these different stories. And I never want to be disrespectful, because it's a lot easier to talk crazy about a man when he's not in the room, right? But if these people were in the room and I'm talking about them crazy, like Wendy Williams and all of this stuff, you gotta be careful of the type of energy that you put out, right? So there's in no way, shape, or fashion should an EMT be able to have a podcast supporting ideas like that, because they were saying people in the neighborhood don't feel safe. They called 911. They don't want you showing up because they don't know if you're going to properly take care of them. So let's see what happened with this guy. He was eventually fired. This just happened, just came down. Let's see what happened with that. Check it out.
It's confirmed a Patrick County EMT has been fired over comments he made on a white supremacist podcast. We first told you about this new development with a push alert on the 10 News mobile app. We've been reporting on Alex McNabb's remarks since December when they became national news. The rescue squad he was working for voted unanimously yesterday to let him go. An attorney for the board says it doesn't want the community to have a fear of mistreatment, and it wants to separate itself from McNabb and his views.
It's our job to look out for the members of our community, and we never wanted a member of our community to think that they might be mistreated or discriminated against.
Thank you. County leaders who've been critical of McNabb, including Board of Supervisors Chairman Locke Boyce, are glad he's off the squad.
Mr. McNabb does enjoy some protection from the First Amendment, but people who have his views should not be in positions of responsibility over other people.
Boyce adds that he thinks the decision shows courage on part of the rescue squad. The news comes after McNabb was cleared by the Virginia Department of Health earlier this month. We've been unable to reach McNabb for comment.
Hell no, to the no, no, no. Hell to the no, hell to the no, to the no, no, no. Hell no.
Yeah, so although he was fired, his colleagues had to vote, and the only reason they voted him off was because they felt like they would get some backlash. They felt like if people in the community would call 911, they wouldn't feel safe, and it would ultimately spill over into the department. That's why they let him go. They didn't let him go because they knew that what he was talking about was wrong. So it's still really no accountability, and I'm sure this guy can leave Patrick County, Virginia, and go to the next city over and get another job doing the same things. So it's like, at which point do we hold these people accountable? How was he even able to get a job as an EMT with a podcast like that? How is that even possible? All right. So moving forward, again, it's a good day. I don't want it to be all down. You know what I'm saying? Talking about these races and these Trump supporters and things like that. But we got to do it. If it's happening in the world, man, I got to bring it to you. I got to keep it raw. I got to give you the show up. And the truth is the truth for me, man. So this next video, I feel like, and let me know how you think, man. I feel like racism is something that is taught and is passed down. Kids aren't born racist. They don't know, they don't know the ins and outs of those things, but it's passed down from generation to generation. At dinner tables, we all have our idiosyncrasies about ourselves, and each culture had their own stereotypes. But racism is something that's really passed down. And right now, there's like a paradigm shift going on. White folks have been in power for a long time. They've been controlling things for quite some time. And we know the ways in which they attained that was corrupt. Free labor, robbing and stealing. If we go to the Louvre in Paris, anywhere in Europe, all them artifacts they got, all the museums, they done stole all that stuff. All the stuff the Queen got, they done stole all of that stuff. So we understand that at some point, the tide is changing. And it's obvious. Things are changing up. And I feel like they're trying to keep a stronghold much as they can. For this next video, we have to learn how to... We have to make the word nigga, we have to stop allowing that to be a hot button for us. Although we say it to each other, we understand how to use it, how it shouldn't be used. And white folks understand how to use it and how it shouldn't be used. Regardless of what they, how they try to play, they know what's happening. But when things get too bad, when they feel like they can't do nothing else, they go for the ace in the hole. Whether it's the police, whether it's your coworker, whatever it is, when they get frustrated and they can't, because they can't argue with us. You can't out argue me. You can't out physical me. You're not gonna whip me. You can't do that. So when they can't do nothing else, they go to the ace in the hole and they pull out nigga. Boom. And once they do that, it's almost like we immediately blow up. Bam. And rightfully so, because we understand the roots of that word, right? We understand where it's coming from. And although black folks say it, when somebody outside the culture says it, you just know what it means. You know where it's coming from. And you feel like you got to protect yourself. You feel like you're almost fighting for your people, you know? But we can't move like that anymore, because white folks understand that the word nigga sets people off, and they'll use it. They'll use it just to set you off. And then they'll say, you know what, go ahead and hit me, because I know once I call the police, they coming. And the police gonna believe me. You don't have a chance once the police get there. So we have to learn how to, and I'm not even sure how to do it yet, because I just said, if you call me out of my name, I'm gonna try to bust your head open. For sure, that's a fact. But I can't move like that, because I understand that I have things to lose, and it's all mental. They know that. They know that. When the police show up, they know what's happening. They calling you. They know what's going on. I've had my interaction with the police. They will for certainly call you a nigga to your face and dare you to do something. Now we're seeing this pulling over. It's pouring over into the public. Like I said, Donald Trump has given a lot of people balls and pride and hope, and they feel like they can say and do whatever they want. And it's enforced by the police officers, because they see, hey, if I call the cops is coming and they might kill this person. I'm good all the way around, because black folks, we know if we go to court, you're going to lose. If you're dealing with the police, you're going to lose. And now we're seeing, if we're dealing with people on the streets, we got to be very careful about how we deal with it. This next video shows a mother in front of her two daughters, and she going crazy for no reason, going crazy. And it's like, we don't get a chance to act like that. Something happened. She's flipping out in the store, calling him all kind of names. And yes, she went for her ace in the hole. But this brother didn't flip out. He recorded it. But this lady spat, all kind of treachery. And we understand the treachery that comes our way. We've seen what happened in the 1960s, and when we segregated school, when we desegregated schools and all that. We understood how the treachery. We know what's going on. They try to act like they don't know what's up. Let's slide it under the rug. Get over it. Let's forget about it. But this video to me is proof that racism is passed down. Now, these little girls didn't get active with their mama, but their mother showed them that that's okay. Their mother showed them this is how you handle black folks when you get into it with them in public. And you know what? You can do all of this. And their mother is teaching them not to have any accountability, because the mother didn't have to be accountable for this. She lost her job, I believe. But there was no physical accountability. Again, we're not in the 1960s, man. We do have to be smart about how we react to things, because we can't just be out here beating everybody up that call us out our name. Because again, I'm starting to see the tide change. They're doing that on purpose. They'll sit back and call you a nigga just to see the fireworks, and then beg you to touch them. And then if you touch them, you going to jail. They suing you. You losing your job. All of this and that. So we got to be really smart about this. Let's get into this video with this white woman and her two daughters talking to this man. Let's check this out.
You were one of those permanently, motherfucker. Eric. Go ahead. Do it. Sit down. Don't you dare talk to me in front of my kids like that, motherfucker.
Call the cops, because you threatened me. Please,
Watch
please,
this.
it's not even worth it.
Watch this. It's right. Because they're niggers. That's why. Because they're fucking niggers that he's taking.
Oh, don't say that.
Eric! I said it. Eric! Put your hands on me. Put your hands on me. Come on. Eric. Put your hands on me. Put them on me. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. I don't worry. Come on. Eric. You motherfucker. Eric. You motherfucker.
I'm a nigger, right?
Eric. I'm a motherfucker. That's right. You're a nigger and he's taking. Please. Watch this motherfucker. Eric, go sit down. Eric, go sit down. Fuck you, nigger! Eric!
She just spat on him.
Motherfucker! You motherfucker!
Hell no, to the no, no, no. Hell to the no, hell to the no.
So as you can see, Eric was just recording, trying to be peaceful, and this white woman was going crazy. You heard it. She spat on him like twice. Her daughters are standing right there, and then what do they think? Her mother's gonna say, "Hey, these are bad people. This is how they all act, and this is how you handle them when you go out in public." So I'm glad that this man didn't step outside of himself and get physical with that woman, because as you can hear her say, she said, "Come on, hit me, please hit me, so the cops can come. He probably gonna kill you, and I'll get a lawsuit." So we gotta be careful, man. We gotta be smarter. I think back in the day, white folks would call you a nigga, whatever. You have to like turn your cheek. You had to kind of rub it off, right? And then that kind of starts switching it up. So they wasn't just out in the open doing it. Now they come out and say it if it's a heated argument or something like that, and then you fly off the hook. I'm sorry, but again, we have to learn how to better handle that, because that's their ace in the hole, man. Because they don't have nothing else. There's nothing else that they can do. They don't want the problem. They don't want the physical problem. They don't want the verbal lashing. Right? So they go to the ace in the hole. So we got to be smarter than that. We got to get bigger than that. We can't keep falling for that. White boy call you a nigga. Based on the context, I'm not saying let it slide, because it's still the same rules still apply. Okay? Well, it's circumstantial. We can't fly off the hook in the wrong place and then put our families in a bad situation. So we have to be mindful of that. Don't just let these people play with you, but you got to be smart. All right, so moving on. We often talk about what's going on in Africa. Christianity in some of the countries there is huge. Huge. And it's kind of baffling based on what's happened to the motherland. But it is what it is. Christianity in Africa is huge in some places. A lot of times we see like pastors at their services, they claim to do some just ridiculous things, make people walk. About a week ago, played a video for you guys. This pastor rose somebody from the dead. The latest edition of this, there's a woman who said she got possessed by an oral sex demon. Okay, she went to church and then the pastor casted out the oral sex demon. Now, if this is true, I know a couple folks with some oral sex demons in my past that might need to go see this pastor and get that demon casted out. You know what I'm saying? But let me play this video for you guys. Let's check this out. Please, if you're in Africa and you're going to these services, not sure which country this is in, but stop doing it. This is ridiculous. They need to stop playing with the word like this. They need to stop playing with God like this. This is all bad. Check this out.
Look that demon. Look that demon. Look, oral sex demon. You see oral sex? Look, oral sex. Look. You oral sex. Use oral sex. Let that sperm of that man out. Out, you demon. Out. Let go.
Delivered me 2 Sundays back. Then a demon came with his penis and put it in my mouth. And then he came again and he slept with me last week, and I told the pastor that I need deliverance again, and since then my private part has been itching.
What?
It's been itching?
Yes.
Hey, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Speak. Who are you?
Listen.
Congratulations. Who are you? Look at that demon.
She's spitting out the oral sex demon. She's spitting it out.
Speak out. Who are you? Who are you?
She just fell on the ground. She passed out. The demon is out of her. She
moving
her mouth. This is ridiculous. I gotta turn this off. I can't do this anymore. I can't do this.
Yeah, to the no. Yeah, to the no. To the no.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk too much about that. If you got you an oral sex demon, cast it out, get rid of it, because the truth is the truth. The truth is the truth. You don't need that. Okay. I was having another conversation. Yesterday we went to see some dolphins. We went to Newport Beach, man, got on this boat, went out. It was real cool. They had drinks on the boat, man. And it was whales and dolphins. It was amazing. Never seen nothing like that. I told you the closest thing I get to like wild animals is like straight pit bulls, right? So to see some dolphins and some whales and all that, it was crazy. It was beautiful. It was a little surprise, man. It was beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate that. My lady surprised me. It was nice. We was having a conversation with a table full of people and heard the words, "I'm celibate." Right? Now I've always had an issue with that. Now I think it's beautiful if it's coming from a spiritual place, if it's biblical, if somewhat of a fast. You know, sometimes you get engaged, and as a couple, you say we're not gonna be sexually active until after we get married. Kind of intensifies the bond, and it kind of gives you something to look forward to, type of thing. So I could understand that, but in most cases, people that think about they celibate, it's like, are you just tired of being a hoe? Is that why you celibate? Are you celibate because they say why buy the cow if you can get the milk for free, right? Are you celibate because everybody been getting the milk and ain't nobody trying to buy the cow? Is that what it is? Is that why you celibate? Because a lot of times in my encounters, women that say they celibate, they used to be hoes. It's like, I understand you trying to trap somebody. It's like, I'm not gonna give it up until I know for a fact you my man. You're not gonna walk out on me. You trying to buy this cow. You're not just trying to drink my milk. I understand that. I know there's two sides to every story. I know. And in keeping with the dating game, when you're dating somebody, it's rough. You're getting to know somebody, you going out. And I remember when I was out in the world dating, being a wild, just a wild young boy. I remember being on dates with people, and on the first date, just on the first date, you know how you could feel a vibe. You could feel it. Okay, this is going somewhere. We're both attracted to each other. This is cool. You could feel a vibe immediately, and it would be like, I'm celibate. I'm looking for a husband, and I want to have some kids soon. My time clock is going down. I'm talking about first date. I'm celibate, looking for a husband, want to have some kids. How you feel about that? Whoa. Now, are you telling me that you're celibate because you want me to commit before you decide to start let me drink your milk? Is that a trap? Because sometimes I used to think, oh, you telling me you celibate? I used to think, damn, this used to be a hoe. Maybe I'm not right for that. But this video here is about a lady who went to the doctor and got a surprise pap smear. Wasn't prepared for the pap smear. She understands that in the dating game, you got to keep your things together. Wasn't prepared for it. Let's check this out. Excuse some of the language, but let's check this out.
Go to the doctor. For one thing, this bitch like, oh yeah, you do for a pap. Pap? How you know this pussy pap ready, miss? Like, I just ran out the crib. Like, we ain't gonna do that. I'm like, so then she like, well, don't be uncomfortable. Like, yo, bitch, what you saying? Like, I ain't scared to pull this pussy out. But was this pussy pap ready? Was it? Did I shave the lips and all that? Do you know that? You feel me? What this pussy wasn't pap ready. But I'ma still let you do the pap because you ain't ready to play me. Like this pussy stink. Like, I'ma still do the pap. But I'ma just keep it a bean. I wasn't ready for the pap. Like, I would've wore certain panties. I would've, you mean? Like, I would've had shit on pap time. Like, I would've had this coochie bald, probably greased, cause y'all rough. You feel me? Like, shit like that. Like, but it's cool. Like, okay, they flow. They did my pap.
To the no, no, no. Yeah, to the no. Yeah, to the no.
I didn't know it had to be pap ready. That's my first time hearing that. So yeah, if you out here in the streets, you know, make sure you ready at all times. Make sure you pap ready just in case. So that was your Hell to the Dog section today. Yes, indeed. That was a Hell to the Dog section. Again, we got to figure out a better way to deal with the racism that we're facing, you can't just fly off the handle. Somebody call you a nigga, you got to really think about what's going on, because that's the ace in the hole. And again, we know that if we go to court, if we deal with the police, it's going to be a bad situation for us. Today on Story Time, it's a story time about why I can never trust the police. Okay, very sensible. And again, I say that never, ever trust the police. Sometimes they're there to do their job, they're helping out, and it's all good. I don't have anything against the police. But after this situation, I was like, you know what? Never trusting the police. Okay, so graduate from school, I come home, and you know that post-grad life, once you graduate, you got about a month or two until that happiness and all that wears off. Until the family is looking at you like, hey, okay, you graduated, man, but you need a job. Where's your job at? After a while, that happiness turns into to like distaste. You ain't got no job. What you doing? You need a job, right? So post-grad, you running around like chicken with your head cut off trying to get a job, looking for something, whatever. So I take a bunch of odd jobs here and there and hear about a job at the sheriff's department through one of my aunts. My auntie Wendy always told me about jobs and things like that. Shout out to her. Really appreciate that. So tell me about the situation at the sheriff's department. I'm like, okay, whatever. Not really thinking about it, but I apply. Long application, do the whole thing. I get some correspondence back. I have to go take a test. A whole bunch of stuff. It's a gang of steps, right? Let's say a couple months later, maybe 4 or 5 months later, I get some correspondence like, hey, we got all your stuff. Everything is good. Now we need you to come down for the interview. And this will be the final step. You know, if you pass the interview, you got to go through the background and all that, but you'll have the job. This particular job was paying $4,500 a month. It had something to do with a crime scene something. So fresh out of school, this may have been like 2012, looking for a gig, trying to get something solid, really want something in radio, can't get it, just trying to do anything. So working as I think I was working as a teacher at the time. So fill out the process, go into the interview, and they really like me. Mind you, right before this interview came up, this is when I had my hair the first time. My locks were all the way down my back. I'm standing strong. I'm not cutting my hair. I shouldn't have to assimilate to get a job. You know, I'm the same person. I'm still intelligent. I'm still everything with my hair. I shouldn't have to cut my hair off to go get a job. I shouldn't have to do that. I was getting so much pressure from everywhere. You know, the family telling me you need to cut your hair. My dad was on my head. You need to cut your hair. My granddaddy, every time I see him, my mom, everybody, right? So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to cut my hair off. I'm not going to have no more static with my family. And I'll be able to go in here and get this job. I didn't want to assimilate, but this is my choice. You know what? I got to assimilate. I got to do what I got to do. I cut my hair off probably like 2 days before the interview. I'm sick. I'm like, I was really contemplating it, cut my hair off. I go into the interview, do the thing, and I'm a great interviewer. You know, I'm really passionate about it. Inside the interview, they offer me the job. They say, Mr. McGee, you know, you're so well spoken. We like you, your energy. This would be a really good position for you. We want to offer you the job right now. Again, this is $4,500 a month. Fresh out of college. I'm like, I'm finna get a place. It's gonna be love from the family. I got a job now. I cut my hair off. I'm good. I'm thinking, okay, you know, things are coming together. It's all good. So they tell me in the interview, we like you. You got the job, Emmitt. It's just all contingent on you passing a background check. I'm like, oh, no problem. I don't have no record. You know, I'm good. I don't have to worry about that. I'm straight. At this time, hadn't smoked no weed in over probably like a year or something. I'm good. I can't wait to go in here and do this so I can get this job. So going through the process, a couple weeks later, I had to go down to the actual department and meet with my caseworker. They assign you a sheriff or a deputy inside the office, and they work with you throughout your background process. So I get assigned my deputy. I go into the station, and as I walk in, I'm in Norwalk, and it's police. It's a police station, so it's police officers plastered all on the walls. and it's all these white boys, just big police officers, like horror movie, right? I'm walking into a police station surrounded by big all these officers, right? So I'm like, you know what? This is gonna be my life now. I gotta just code switch and go in here and do what I gotta do. I go in, I'm looking around, and the only black guy inside the whole office was assigned to me. That was my officer. So I feel comfortable. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. You know, I got a brother. Finna go in here and do this paperwork. I'm gonna be good. So we go into the room. The officer comes in, you know, introduces himself, and he says, hey man, you know, we're really glad to have you here. He says, there's not a lot of us in here. I know what he's talking about. You know what I'm saying? It's like a little insider for us. I'm like, okay, I got him. We on the same page, right? He says, not a whole lot of us in here, man. We want to make sure you get in. I heard that they already offered you the position. It's just contingent on your background check. You good? I'm like, yes, sir. I'm good. I can't wait. It's good. At this time, I'm in there. I'm feeling all the love. I'm already adding up the money in my head, what I'm about to do with it, how I can invest this and do that and do this. So the officer comes back with a packet, and it's like a questionnaire, and it's thick. It's probably like 15 pages long. So he's like, listen, I'm gonna sit this down here. You fill out this whole packet, and after this, we'll go to the next process. He sits the paper down. He turns around. Then he comes back. He says, listen here, brother. He hit me with the brother. He said, brother, listen to this, man. He said, there's something going on in the department, and they do lie detector tests, and they're finding out that people who came on saying that they never dealt with certain type of, alcohol or anything, drugs, anything like that, if they take a lie detector test later and find out that you were lying, you lose your job. You can never work for the department again. All these things. He was like, listen, man, you got the job already. It's nothing going to deter you from getting a job, brother. We really want you in here, man, but I need you to be honest about everything. Like, I don't even care if it was a microcosm or something. You got to be honest, because I don't want nothing to come up in your file later on and then you lose everything. So I'm like, okay. I'm thinking like, yeah, man, he's looking out for me. This brother got my best interest at heart. I'm listening to him because I had looked through the packet, and they ask you some questions. Have you ever dealt with marijuana? Have you ever smoked it? Have you ever X, Y, and Z? Top of my mind, I'm like, nope, never, ever seen it. Don't even know what it look like. Don't know what it smell like. Nope, never seen it. The officer's like, listen, brother, we need you in here. And we need to make this work, man. So just be honest about everything. Even if it was in college, man, just tell us it was in college. Just so we know. So it's on your file. So if anything happens, you ain't got to worry about it. And again, I'm not understanding how this sheriff's department work. I'm just trying to get in here and get this job for $4,500 a month that they told me I already got. So I'm like, okay, bet. Going through the pages, and he turned around and said, listen, man, even if it's anything in college, man, just put it on there. Nothing's going to stop you from getting this job. You good, bro. I'm like, my brother. I think I even hit him with the pound, like, man, that's right. So I sit down, I do the packet, fill out the whole packet. On like page 10 or 11, it's like, have you ever experimented with marijuana? Once in college. I tried it in college. I didn't like it. Wasn't my thing. Never tried it again. Right? Mind you, I was fresh out. So this was like 2012. I graduated from college in 2010. So he takes the packet, leaves out the room, goes through everything. He comes back in the room, sits in front of me with the packet. And I see, as we're going through the pages, going through everything, checking everything, we get to the pages with those questions on it, and I see a bunch of red marks on it. He don't say nothing about it. He just flips past the page, So I'm kind of nervous, but I'm thinking, nah, no, he wouldn't do that to me. Not my brother. My brother wouldn't do that to me. He just told me to put something down, because had he not told me that, we good. We go through the whole thing. He comes back to that page. He said, now, Mr. McGee, we have a problem. My heart drops. He says, yeah, so now with this, I know you said you tried it in college, and although you don't have any on you or in you or anything like that, it has to be over 4 years ago that you tried it. You graduated in 2010, which means that it was only 2 years ago that you tried it, which means that you're ineligible for the job, which means that we have to put you on like on rest for a year. You can't apply. You can't do nothing here with the unit for a year. But you keep in contact with me, and I'll get you straight. Mind you, I just cut my hair, and I just been offered a position, and I wasn't doing nothing. I get up in the room, I'm pacing. I'm actually walking back and forth in the room. So he kind of looking at me like, man, what's going on? And I'm like, bro, you told me this and that. I'm kind of getting loud, forgetting that I'm in the sheriff's department, forgetting that this guy is a cop, and also forgetting that he has a gun on his hip. So I'm going off. Man, what do you mean you told you? So I'm like, listen, brother, can't you just give me another packet? Just give me another packet. Or just let me, like. Didn't happen. I left out of there, ladies and gentlemen, without that job. And when I tried to call that sheriff back to keep in contact with him so that when the position opened up in a year, I would be first in line and I could just slide in since I already had done everything, the number didn't work. So had I followed my first mind, I would have filled the application out like I knew I was supposed to fill the application out. I wouldn't have had that issue. And I would have got the job. It would have been game, set, match. It would have been done. But nah. I'm thinking, you know what? This police officer has my best interest at heart. This is my brother. And he's looking out for me in the long run. I'm going to go with what he told me to do. And I didn't get the job. So that was my, that was a lesson learned, man. Don't ever trust the police. You've been drinking. I don't condone drinking and driving. But if you've been drinking and driving and you get pulled over by the police and they ask you, have you had a drink? You better say no. The police ask you something, you better say no. Because it's going to be bad for you. I made that mistake one time, trusted the police, and it cost me a job for $4,500 a month. I was sick. Man. And I've run into these barricades before, man. And we'll have more story time and things like that. But again, always follow your first mind. Always follow your first mind. Do what's on your first mind to do, man. That's my story time right there. It still hurt even telling that story. I was mad. All right, so today on the close, like I told you guys, we're not just going to always have Bible verses. Because although that speaks to me, sometimes I get the message, I get the word from some of the music I listen to, some of the stuff I watch. So today we're coming from a philosopher, if you will. Legendary philosopher, man, goes by the name of Sean Carter. Now, I spoke about how influential Jay-Z was and just his role in my upbringing in terms of music and things outside of Compton, California. My pops was my role model. Never had to look up to another man for anything. But Jay-Z just taught you how to do something. Today I'm coming from the book of Dead Presidents. You can find this song on Jay-Z's first album, historic classic album, Reasonable Doubt. And on this album, Jay-Z says, on this very song, I'd rather die enormous than live dormant. That's how we own it. Live at the main event, I bet a trip to Maui on it. Now, what that means to me, I'd rather die enormous than live dormant. It's saying you just can't settle. You cannot settle for what's been given to you. You can't just give up. You can't say, whatever. I'd rather just live dormant. Just get this little whatever job that I really don't want. I'm going to just do that because it's easy. I'll be accepted. My family will be happy. They'll look at me and they'll be happy because I'm working a job that they feel like is acceptable, and I'll be good. But Jay said we can't do that. I'd rather die enormous. I'd rather die in pursuit of what I want to get than live dormant. That's how we own it. Live at the main event, I bet a trip to Maui on it. What? Presidential suites, my residential for the weekend. I'm not going to get into the whole song, but this is just the gospel from Jay. So think about that, man. I've hit so many brick walls, man, to where I feel like I'm losing my mind. Not really committing to certain jobs where I could have took it all the way. Because that ain't what I want, man. Oftentimes you get lost, you kind of get off your path and things like that. But the Lord always kind of bring me back. And now I'm doing my thing, man. It's taking some time. We still got to build it up. We still got a long way to go, but I'm on the right track. And it's like, I'd rather die enormous than live dormant. That's how we own it. I'll be live at the main event, and you could bet a trip to Maui on it. That's deep, man. That's Jay-Z. That's Dead Presidents. That's on Reasonable Doubt. You check that out, man. This is a Peace and Love podcast. I am your man, E.McGee. Again, any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. EMCGEEE on Facebook. Facebook is Emmitt McGee III. Instagram, EMCGEE. Tomorrow, again, we have the comedian coming in, Miss D-Lo Brown. Is going to be off the hook, talking about the things she's working on, being a comedian in this PC era and everything. So you guys tune in tomorrow. Appreciate you guys for turning in. Again, we got to be smart. Don't let people get you out your zone. Somebody calls you a nigga, you got to think about it. Don't just fly off the handle, man. Again, this is the Peace and Love podcast. It's your host, E.McGee, and I'm out. Y'all take it easy, man. I'll see y'all tomorrow.
Peace and love. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Peace and love. Peace and love podcast. Peace and love podcast. Peace and love podcast. Peace and love podcast. Peace and love.